Hi there, I'm Rob with Geek TV, production of Geek magazine, and I'm sitting here at Ad Astra 2014 with author Ed Greenwood. Now, Ed is probably most famous for his Forgotten Realms work.
I created the Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, so that's a big one right there. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of geeks and tattoos in literature, why don't you tell us a little bit about your more current pieces?
Well, I'm still writing Forgotten Realms novels as fast as I can. The next one will be out this June, the end of this June, called The Herald. It's the last novel in the Sundry, and that's around about the time when I have to have the first draft of my next Realms novel in. I'm also doing some work of both gaming work in the Realms and gaming work related to the Realms that I can't tell you about with other media licensees. So read between the lines of something that isn't tabletop role-playing games. There are computer games out there. There's other mass media, and we're doing stuff with that. And of course, Kickstarter has raised its head, which means there are all sorts of independent gaming companies, some really small, who want me to do stuff for them, stories and game work. So I'm piling in a lot of that.
So how much input did you have in the D&D universe?
I was just a gamer writing articles for Dragon magazine back in the days when everybody in the industry read Dragon, and it was tiny and small, and there was no computer gaming industry because there were no personal computers back then, BC. And as a gamer suggesting things for the game rules, I was just like any other gamer out there writing stuff for Dragon. Then there came a time when, after spending all of the company's resources on doing Dragonlance for a couple of years, they wanted a new world for the game. And because I couched a lot of my Dragon articles in the Forgotten Realms, because I thought it was less arrogant than saying, "Hi, you've never heard of me, I'm some guy from Canada, here's a new way to roll dice." I think that's pretty arrogant. So I would say, well, you could do it this way. And in the Forgotten Realms, meaning my world, Elminster says this, and it also allows you to have an unreliable narrator. Instead of telling everybody there's 3 orcs in this room, Elminster can say, "It's rumored there are orcs in the ruined castle," which leaves the dungeon master a huge amount of elbow room. So they thought, so do you have a complete detailed world at home, or do you just make it up as you go along? And I said, yes, and yes. And they said, good, send it. And that was where the Forgotten Realms started, and I've been involved with it ever since. So I've had a huge amount of input, albeit always unofficially as a freelancer, to the way we could do things using the Forgotten Realms as we develop Dungeons & Dragons through edition after edition. We're now up to D&D Next, which we're working on right now, and yes, I have input into that, but I'm not an employee, I've never been employed. I'm just like the guy who suggests things from up in Canada. What if we did this? Can we have bendable puppets? No.
It's actually a great place to be, because
Yeah.
you can have all of your suggestions, and when it turns out well, be like, that's exactly how I envisioned it, and when it doesn't, be like, you know what, it's their business, and
Nothing to do with me.
I made my suggestions.
That's right. Yeah, it is the fun bit. Yeah, cool.
Okay, so I met Ed last night at a pub launch for some books by Lee Peterson, and she's really, really cool, and we got more stuff coming to you about her later. But we're talking with Ed about tattoos, and he had so much to say on the subject that I was like, you know what, we're going to have to do this in front of cameras, because our not only do our listeners want to hear from Ed, but we want to hear his opinions on this kind of stuff. So tell us a little bit about the tattoos in your books and how that works with the industry.
Okay. When the Realms launched, nothing in the books I wrote personally mentioned tattoos and so on, for 2 reasons. The bit of the Realms I was writing about then, the Sword Coast and the Heartlands, most people didn't have tattoos. The barbarian tribes, the Uthgard barbarians, had tattoos, but I didn't get to write about them then. In the end, it was somebody else who got to write about them, Paul Jaques, now Geno Jaques, and when he did the Savage North, the Savage Frontier, FR5. But until we got to that, I was writing about the people who dwelt in the cities. And although Waterdeep is a very cosmopolitan crossroads city where merchants of every size, shape, color that could show up in the world and do, because you're writing about everything, it's like, give me the vast city of London / New York / Rome. You got 5 pages. You don't get down to the level of tattoos unless they really matter. However, we were all starting up novels in the realms to show gamers how different the realms could be. And my co-founder of the realms, the in-staff, the on-staff person, the inside TSR, who was doing the realm smithy, was Jeff Grubb. And Jeff Grubb started to do a novel with his wife, Kate Novak, called As Your Bonds. And As Your Bonds talks about, it tells the story of, amongst other things, I don't want to ruin the novel for somebody to come to it, because even though it's a very old novel and it has sequels and it's great, everybody should come to it new. But let's just say, if you look at the Clyde Caldwell beautifully painted cover of the first novel in the series, As Your Bonds, there is a woman facing you on the cover, and her name is Alias, as it turns out, and there's a mystery about her, and there's more than one woman who looks strangely alike. But down her arm are a row of tattoos, individual symbols down her arm and into her palm, and they all have magical powers. Now, I want to choose my words carefully here because, again, I don't want to ruin the book. But the concept of having magic, and by the way, Alias, the main character, doesn't know what specific powers a lot of these tattoos are. She can make guesses because of what the tattoos look like, but there's magic in there. Now, this isn't a new concept in fantasy. Larry Niven, in his Magic Gone Away and its sequels, Magic May Return and so on, he had some stories, Not Long Until the End and so on, in which the spellcaster has a huge intricate tattoo across his back, across his shoulder blades. And when he feels the need, he can release a demon to fight for him, to obey him, to obey his command. It's under his control, he hopes, from this tattoo on his back. So I mean,
if he rolls a 20, I mean,
yeah. So the idea that you have magic captured within tattoos that you carry around on your body. So just like having a flak jacket full of many pockets of cool stuff that you carry around, you have tattoos, and they have stuff that otherwise you wouldn't be able to carry. You can't leave on an adventure to kill the dragon with all 15 of your favorite swords. You just can't carry them all.
It's probably also important to note that tattoos have a very low encumbrance value, so that's awesome for D&D as well.
Oh yeah.
So now you were mentioning that about the tattoos, that he has a demon on his back. Were all of the tattoos really sort of the dark magics?
Initially, yes, because in Jeff's novel there was supposed to be this mystery about what all these are, and it's always more fun if the mystery is a sinister mystery. So there's an element of danger because it makes the character more interesting, and the character is bewildered because they don't know who they are or where they stand vis-a-vis these tattoos at the beginning. But if there seems to be something dangerous, some aura of menace that goes along with that tattoos, it makes the story more gripping. But there's nothing, with the exception of 2 or 3 of the tattoos, that have specific relationships to evil cults and or evil deities, and those are pretty obvious by what the tattoo looks like. There's nothing inherently evil about the tattoo. It's just a storage mechanism made by a specialized practitioner, somebody who knows how to craft the right sort of tattoo to have the magic in it. But there's nothing inherently evil about that tattoo. It's like saying, oh my goodness, so-and-so ate that toadstool, they died, they were poisoned, therefore the toadstool is evil. No, it's not. The toadstool is neutral. It doesn't think, but it is poisonous to us. So
basically what we need, kids, little public relations notice, it's important to note that tattoos in themselves are not evil, unless you get a really awful tattoo artist. But go to a good tattoo artist. You can tell your parents there's nothing inherently evil about the tattoo. Does not include dark magics.
Yes. Yes, and by the way, toadstools aren't evil either, but don't eat the toadstool. There are experts who say that one's good, that one's not. For you, the answer is simple. Don't eat it. Don't put it in your mouth. It's a good rule in life in general. If you're not sure about something, don't put it in your mouth.
That's very fair.
They were once known as angels from the sky of heaven.